What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are at the Lars Anderson Auto Museum. You've seen us shoot the Porsche show here, the American Car Day show here. Let's get the museum behind us over here. That's the museum, America's oldest car museum. Today we are here for Cadillac Day, and I couldn't be more excited. I am a big Cadillac fan. My friend Sean is here, who helps run the Cadillac Club that's local. He is the person I told you on many videos has the greatest salesmanship line of all time. When I was between buying a Lincoln and a Cadillac, he said, "Bill, no one says it runs like a Lincoln," and he's 100% right. We're gonna share some of the coolest cars from one of, honestly not from one, from America's premium luxury car brand throughout the years. You know, Cadillac was called the standard of the world for a long time. We've got some beautiful cars here. We'll talk kind of about the dichotomy of Cadillac today, where they've gone from being this luxury car brand to really this high performance car brand with their V series. There's quite a few V cars here that we'll share with you. So just some really cool stuff we'll walk through today, share some of the amazing cars that are here today. We'll come back and wrap it up and, you know, just kind of talk about, you know, kind of the Cadillac through the years, right? What they became, their heyday in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, a little bit of the decline in the 70s, the big decline in the 80s and 90s, the resurrection of Cadillac with the, you know, the CTS and what they're able to do with the V series and where Cadillac stands today. So I look forward to sharing all of that with you on this video. We're here with Anthony from Specialty Motor Cars. You've probably seen him online. If like you're me, I've been watching him for years. He does amazing stuff. We love his road trips. We were just talking about it. But talking to Sean, who is like my Cadillac ultimate guy, he told me, "Bill, you gotta grab Anthony. He's got like two very cool, unique Cadillacs that you need to feature." So we're gonna talk to Anthony. He's gonna share these two cars with us here. So Anthony, first, great to meet you. Thank you for taking a couple minutes with us. Yeah. So tell us a little about the two cars you brought today.
So one of them's mine, one of them's a good friend of mine.
All right.
This is a 1982 Cadillac Coupe de Ville.
Okay.
Started life as a hardtop Coupe de Ville, and then a company in Ohio, Hess and Eisenhardt, converted these cars when they were new. Hess and Eisenhardt typically, Hess and Eisenhardt typically made hearses and limos, professional cars, but from 78 to 82 they made these convertibles. It wasn't something that GM offered, but it was kind of an in-between after they discontinued the 76 Eldorados. Okay. This is a coach-built convertible, so the significance is in the convertible part. Otherwise, the uniqueness of this car, it's not a factory color. This car was repainted by the original owners back when the car was built. Originally a darker blue. I bought it about a year ago. This is really the first show I've had it out at. But supposedly the car was repainted this color to match her husband's Bentley. So they had money. Old money.
Yes, they did.
This is the company here, built by Hess and Eisenhardt out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Really sharp car. It's got 22,000 miles on it. Interior is a little bit more tired. The thing with these cars is they were never made to be convertibles, so the interiors just usually don't hold up well. Sure. The carpets start to fade, so I'm going to clean up the inside on it. But to put the top down in a big V8 rear-wheel drive Cadillac, production numbers, some people say 200-300 of them. I have two of them. I have a 79 and I have this. So there's no documentation to show how many were built, but they're very rare cars.
So Anthony was being humble, Sean. Tell me how rare this car is really, because he was being a little humble.
I think they're more rare than that. And this, for the 80s, you know that. I think they're more rare than the 79s and 80s.
Part of the reason why they're so rare today is because so many of them were used, and it still exists, but they were converted into lowriders. Yeah. Guys would take these 80s ones and put all the cladding on them that you'd see on the 1992 Bromes, put the 1992 noses on them. I like original. I love the 1992 Brom.
Is this yours?
This is.
So if you guys don't know, these two guys talking about Cadillac, this is like Yoda and like, you know, Mace Windu, like the Jedis of Cadillacs here talking about Cadillacs, arguing about Cadillacs. So yes, yeah. We're gonna start with this 1997 Cadillac Eldorado, 39,000 original miles. This Cadillac is actually for sale for like $8 grand, all of the options. Now, when I see this car, I can't help to think about Paulie from The Sopranos. I always remember him stealing that lawnmower and throwing it in the back of somebody's car. But these cars are pretty cool. I mean, I think about the style that would evolve into the CTS. The Eldorados in that wedge style in the 80s, or sorry, in the 90s was a beautiful car. I like the wheels, the chrome, the red looks great with the tan interior. And this was a pretty sharp car back then. You know, again, I think this gave Cadillac some credibility with the younger crowd. What I thought was interesting is it looks like it still has a tape deck, which in 97 is pretty wild to me. I figured everyone by then had kind of, you know, evolved into the, you know, to the CD player by then. But this is a pretty cool car, and I'm gonna go back and shoot the front. I love this logo. You know, we were talking, I had a 15, my wife had a 16, and in 16 they had changed the crest, and they went away to the no crest, which is on here. And, you know, Sean and I had debated that, you know, how do you feel if it doesn't have the, you know, the crest around the badge? But this is a pretty sharp version of this car. Now, again, I'll shoot the information. If you're looking for a Cadillac for not a ton of money with low miles, this is a pretty nice version of this car, and you can see it's for sale. So reach out to Leo, the phone number's right there. So we have this gorgeous 1937 LaSalle. This car is interesting because in 37, LaSalle actually outsold Cadillac. So this was a very popular car in 37, and how could it not be? Look at these gorgeous lines. The fender, the Continental kit in the fender, these stunning wheels, again with that Cadillac reddish orange color, the wide white wall tires. Everything on this car just screams opulence and luxury, especially back in that time frame. And again, you got your rumble seat. Just an absolutely stunning car. Everything about this is just gorgeous. And again, this would have been in 37. This would have outsold Cadillac that year. So this was like kind of the heyday for LaSalle. And again, just an absolutely beautiful version of this car. Okay, so this is the evolution of Cadillac. This is like their version of their modern luxury. CT6, non-V series. We had two XTSs. So we had the version before this that was the large version of the Cadillac cars. So we love the XTSs. The CT6 was the next version that came along afterwards. And you would get into this, and this was the bigger version of the car. The XTS was a beautiful car. I had a 15 for 2 years. My wife had a 16 for 7 years, right? We bought it in 17. We just got rid of it at the beginning of this year to get something different because we started running some issues with it. But a great riding car, super comfortable. And again, I talk about like the evolution of Cadillac more towards the performance, and we'll go over here to the CT4 Blackwing. And this is essentially Cadillac's version of an M2, right? So, you know, you have super competitive, great performance. Any of the reviews you see out here, I mean, the calipers, check out the brakes on these things. Just beautiful cars. I think it's 4-piston in the back, 6-piston in the front. And these cars just perform. They also look great. This looks like it's actually a manual transmission too, which is still awesome. You can get a manual transmission in these high performance versions of these cars. I think the V series are awesome. The V Blackwing is kind of like the pinnacle of that CT4. So just a beautiful car. And again, you can get into high performance. This is which Cadillac is kind of morphed into. They're building a better version, or at least a more affordable version of what you can get against some of their German competitors, in a car that just looks amazing. I think this is a stunning car. I love this color combination with the black wheels, the blue calipers, you know, that gray interior. So I can tell you that the new Cadillacs are incredibly comfortable, but to get a high performance variation like this is stunning. So let's look at this beautiful 68 DeVille convertible. I mean, check out the body lines on this, the length, the style. This is a gorgeous car, and I don't want to interrupt the gentleman over here trying to take a photo, so I'm trying to stay out of the way here. We will go up to the length of the car in just a second here. But this car is absolutely beautiful. Again, you look at the interior, the seats. Now, Cadillac understood all along, no matter what generation they were in, how to make a beautiful interior that was also comfortable, highly functional. But I look at these lines on this, and again, for a convertible two-door, the length on this is absolutely insane. Just crazy long, beautiful style. I love the stacked, you know, these headlights. They very much give me, you know, the Riviera obviously borrowed from this design, because I look at the front end of this and I think of that front end of that Riviera from the same year. Very similar style, but an absolutely beautiful version of this car. And again, to get something that this long with two doors and a convertible is absolutely incredible. We would never see that again in modern cars. Guys, the Elante. So what an interesting car. I've talked about these before a little bit. So this was, you know, Cadillac's answer to what the German sports sedans were doing at the time, and this car was incredible. They sent the cars overseas, or the bodies are built overseas by Pininfarina. They came back, they put a Cadillac V8 in it. That would evolve over time, and they had a ton of technology in these cars. These cars were like technological marvels for the time. If you take a look at the trip computers, all the stuff they had, like from a technology standpoint, these cars were incredible. They looked great, they had decent performance. The battle and the challenge for these cars is they were just really expensive. This car new was like $60,000 $60,000, right? So you're going back to then, you're thinking $60,000, this is 30 years ago. You know, that's the equivalent of $130,000, $140,000 today. So what you would have is you'd have a car that had good performance, but not great performance, some reliability challenges, but an amazing body and incredible interior, and some really cool technology for the time that was really well ahead of its time and stayed well ahead of its time for a long time. I mean, I look at even the integrated brake light here, everything they did to make this car look amazing worked, right? Everything worked on the car, but then again, like I said, they ran into some reliability challenges with the V8. And, you know, the cost was just cost prohibitive. But again, look at this interior for that time. You see all of the stuff on the computer on the side, which is absolutely incredible. The digital dash, like this was just such a cool car. And again, with the top down, these now were really cheap for a long time. You could get one of these for, you know, $5,000 to $10,000. Now a nice one's creeping up to the $15,000 to $20,000 range, where they should be. I think, you know, you're getting something that's cool, unique, different. You can come to, you know, an old classic car show now. You can come to a Caddy show and have something that's pretty cool. I think they're starting to get a little more respect. But again, the challenge on this new was just, they were so cost prohibitive. You know, sending the bodies back from Italy, from Pininfarina, and all the costs that went into building these, Cadillac just couldn't recoup them, and they were not enough of a halo car to justify the price, so they struggled to sell these, and these never took off in the way I think they should have. I look at this Cadillac, if they, you know, especially with some of the GM stuff they're doing today, if they had just taken a Corvette, you know, LT1 or LT3 V8 and put it into this car and simplified the motor in this car and made it more reliable, I think these cars would have performed better and they would have sold like crazy. So I think it's just a missed opportunity, but such a cool time capsule and something I like to share because it's just cool and different, and a car that I actually still really like and I think is wildly underappreciated. So this is the Knollwood of Cadillac here. This is where we bought both of our Cadillacs from. This is crazy, right? So this is the Cadillac Escalade V, 600 plus horsepower, $150,000 plus SUV, 0 to 60, and, you know, the fives, and a car with all the luxury in the world. I mean, look at the interior on this thing. Absolutely incredible. These seats are amazing. You know, just an incredible car. But again, you're looking at, you know, a 6,000 or 7,000 pound SUV with 650 horse that does 0 to 60 in, you know, under 6 seconds with all, it's just a stupid car. The fact that Cadillac, I talked about the evolution of where Cadillac has gone, and forever it was all about luxury. And we'll go look at the, you know, some of the other cars they have up here, like the electronic SUV over here and some of the stuff they have, but you can truly see where Cadillac has morphed to and what they're going after. I mean, it's cool as an enthusiast. The only problem is just the pricing is crazy on these cars, but they're stunning. I mean, they look great, the performance is great. They are truly rivals of anything that BMW or Mercedes is making. But I think the benefit for a long time for the Cadillac folks is you could get it at a better value, and that's just not the case anymore, unfortunately. But they are stunning, amazing cars. All right, so we've got a 2008 DTS here with a carriage roof. This is an interesting car because this was kind of the last gasp of old Cadillac before you would get into the more modern stuff with, you know, the CT, XT, all those cars that would get more angular, that would focus on trying to be more world-oriented versus just US-oriented. And you can see it in this car. I mean, this car was still a beautiful car, you know, a V8 motor, beautiful interior, you know, really cool, kind of a timeless design. I think it's actually aged incredibly well. I think it looks great. Again, you can see the seats in here, how comfortable they are, but they were talking about this car, you know, this had the luxury rear seat option package too, with the DT, with lumbar and all the different support options, but this also had the performance options, and you can see this is the performance sedan, so the 4.6 Northstar V8, right? So, but you also had the high performance suspension package on this with the luxury options. This was kind of like the top of the line model for this, and you can see this car back in 2008 would have been $48,000. Actually, with all the options, it was $61,000, right? So again, you pull that equivalent today, you're $80 plus, $90 plus thousand for this car. Again, the problem where Cadillac was right here, for this type of money, you were looking at a 5 Series BMW, you were looking at, you know, a Mercedes, you know, more of a luxury-oriented sedan, and we just kind of weren't there from a fit and finish and performance standpoint. But I think, again, aesthetically and comfort-wise was amazing. You know, I think back to when, you know, the 70s hit and Lee Iacocca talked about, you know, should we go into these small, compact, front-wheel drive, fuel-efficient vehicles? And he said Americans don't care about that. They want Corinthian leather. They want luxury. They want this different style. And I think it took a long time for us to adapt to that. You know, I think where Cadillac went from the standard of the world to struggling to back to where they are today is this generational gap of trying to figure out where Cadillac's place was and really catering to their older customers, but struggling to bring in those younger customers. It's what happened to like Sears and why they went out of business. They were the biggest company in the world, and they just kind of kept dealing with their older customers and not understanding who they could go to. So, but this I think is a great kind of that last gasp of old school Cadillac before it would really transition to what Cadillac has become today with much more high performance oriented, trying to go maybe after more of a youth crowd. To the XLR-V. So this is Cadillac's version of a Z06 Corvette. You know, their XLR was their Corvette. This was the Z06 version. You can see these giant vented brakes with these giant calipers. This had a, you know, huge supercharged high performance V8. This car would drive like crazy. It would be super fast, incredibly comfortable. Again, this was the luxury version of a Z06. If you were a little bit more mature, you wanted something that was fun on the weekends that you could cruise, but you could also drive to the office as an executive, this was the car for you. Did everything well, performed well, looked great. I think this style is timeless. You looked at when they went into the grille, and if you look at a regular XLR versus the XLR-V, you would get this more mesh style grille. On the regular XLR, you would get the more traditional Cadillac style grille. So this would give you that first hint. The giant wheels, the giant brakes with the ventilated rotors, and then you get in and you get this high performance version of this car. Again, I think it still looks stunning today. These cars are, I think, even a little underappreciated. This is almost a sleeper because I don't think a lot of people know what these cars are today, especially these younger folks. And this is a ridiculous high performance car that I actually think looks incredible as well. This is where Cadillac really started to shift. 63 Series 62. Red and white. Again, what I like about this car, there's a couple of things that really stand out to me. Obviously, the body's beautiful, the color's awesome, but the interior I really like on this car. We saw the contrasting seat belts on the 61. Now you have the contrasting inserts, right? You have the red dash, you have the red and white interior, which looks absolutely stunning on the car. This is just a beautiful version of this car. So I think as you look through and you see the, you know, again, the luxury that you would have in 63 with this car, everything just works on this car. I think even more so than that 61. I love the rear end on the car. This was kind of the last gasp of what Cadillac would do. Just a beautiful version of this car. As we're gonna shoot this beautiful 94 Fleetwood Brougham. Got a chance to talk to the owner. He has owned this car since new. It has 70,000 original miles. We were just talking, it's the dark cherry color. We were having a great conversation. He was helping me understand that, you know, this was similar to what Buick would have, and then also Chevy with the Impala SS. Obviously a more luxury version of it, better, you know, a better ride. But he was telling me on the Buicks and the Cadillacs, they had the variable steering. So basically, if you were in some type of a high performance version of steering where they would see that, you know, you were driving a little more aggressively or a certain speed, it would essentially reduce the amount of steering power steering fluid, so it would give you better feel on the car, which I think is super cool. This one obviously has the vinyl carriage top, the moonroof, the beautiful wheels. You know, it's nice on this one too, and you can see it's been garaged its whole life. No issues with the fender extensions. The paint is stunning on the car. You know, if we go over next to it, we have a 96, and this would have been the standard Fleetwood, not the Brougham. So this would have been the more entry-level version. Still an absolutely beautiful car. I love this color combination. I think it's pretty interesting, right? I mean, the gold line wheels kind of add a lot to this, but you have the white with the red pinstripe. Again, the really nice interior. So these are kind of a very cool version of the, you know, the last versions almost of the rear-wheel drive luxury giant V8 Cadillacs that you would have, and these are both super cool versions. But I wish the paint, you know, the sun was a little better now, so you can see the paint on this dark cherry. It just really looks great out here. All right, guys, this will be our third Series 62 convertible. This is a 1960, and what they call a Sierra Rose. I love the color on this. You know, I think back to, you know, the 60s and the 50s and Elvis and the pink Cadillac. This is a 66,000 mile original mile car. I love the color on it. Even with that like darker like maroon type top here, which is a great color combination, black interior. What a pretty version. This one looks pretty original. I don't think it's been restored. You can see the paint's a little faded. We've got a little bit of challenges on the seats, but it's so neat to see this car of how it would have been from the factory being unrestored. Just a really pretty version of the Series 62, which I think are some of the best looking cars that Cadillac ever made. I'm gonna shoot up here is this beautiful 1966 Fleetwood 429 motor, 80+ thousand original miles, but an unrestored car. You know, I was looking at the car, everything about this is just a beautiful preservation style on this car. You know, we've shot a lot of the Series 62s. This would have been the big car in 66 with the Fleetwood. I love their rear end. You know, they were, again, by then the fins had really died off, but this was still a really cool, inspired version of this car. What I'd really like too is obviously you've got the fender skirts. I mean, everything luxury about this car. Beautiful interior. What is it? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the interior on these was just so sharp too. If you take a look, I mean, look at this beautiful back seat. And what you'll see on here, again, this was, again, a full-size version of that car. So what you'll see, what they were doing back here is they were building something that you could fit a family in. You think about a car this size, and you'll see there would be an extra set of seat belts in these cars. You could fit 6 people in here easily across with the 2 bench seats, right? So this was easily for a family of 6. But you see what Cadillac was doing here. You know, again, this would be the evolution. We talked a lot about this as we look at the different cars over the years. Cadillac would incorporate that GM bar style speedometer, but what they would do to kind of give it a more luxurious feel is they would add in the accessory gauges. Everything would either be trimmed in chrome or chrome built into chrome for the gauges. So Cadillac would give you a beautiful version. You see the seats and how they were built. Again, different than what you would find in like Pontiac or Buick. Again, this was designed as the ultimate version of luxury. You take a look at the amount of legroom you've had, the amount of space you'd have inside, and then just this absolutely giant trunk. I mean, this was, again, a car you could use. This is before SUVs. You know, a lot of families didn't want a station wagon. You would go to the office, you'd want to have a luxury car, but you had to take the family home, so you could fit, you know, everything in here. You could go and pick up your stuff at the hardware store, all of your groceries. You could use this like a pickup truck, like an SUV today, have space for 6 in the family, but you're doing it in the ultimate version of luxury. All right, guys, we're gonna shoot 3 beautiful older Cadillacs right here. We're gonna start with this 1955 convertible. You know, I think about as I look at this, and even I'm thinking about like the 55 and 56 and 57 Chevys, and you see a lot of the same inspiration on that front end. You'd have a similar, you know, style ornament on the Chevys and then that similar color. But you look at the Cadillac, these giant Dagmars in the front, the absolutely stunning wheels on here, the wide white wall tires, the fins. Again, what I love on the older Cadillacs, as much as I love the bodies on these, I just think the interiors of these are really where these cars just excel. And this car is stunning. I mean, this blue is gorgeous. You have the blue and white interior again. Now you'd see, we were talking about before, this is when Cadillac would have kind of a classier version of that bar speedometer, but this is, you know, super simple, right? 1955, this car was designed to do a couple of things. It was designed to have presence, and it was designed to be comfortable as you were driving down the road, and nobody in the world did it back then better than Cadillac. I mean, this car just oozes coolness, style. We get over here to the car next to it, and we have this gorgeous custom Cadillac, right? So this is a, I think we've seen this one at a couple of shows before, but this is a stunning build. Again, just everything. I mean, I love the interior. It's just beautiful, that peanut butter brown leather interior. You know, the air suspension that takes it right down to the ground. The beautiful wheels, obviously the custom engine under the hood. This is just a gorgeous 1948 custom Cadillac. Again, I love everything on the car. It's just, this is a great version of this build. If you're gonna make a hot rod Cadillac, this is the way to do it and build it the right way. Just absolutely stunning. The next one we want to hit on right here, and this when I came in, this was the first car that I looked at that stood out to me and I just thought looked absolutely incredible. It's a 1957 Series 62 in the white and blue. Again, everything is right on this car from what I'm looking for stylistically. I think, you know, the color combination is great, the white with that light blue on the top. You look at the interior, we have that blue on the interior, along with, you know, the light blue with the darker blue seats, the beautiful, absolutely stunning interior. You can see we have the vintage heat, vintage air underneath the dash, which is amazing for this car. And again, I just think, you know, from an overall standpoint of style, this might be my favorite car up here stylistically. It's not my favorite Cadillac. We're gonna hit on those in just a second. But stylistically, it might be my favorite car up here. When I first walked in, this was the car I was the most immediately drawn towards. All right, guys, I'm gonna talk real close to the mic because I'm gonna try not to get copyright claimed with the music right behind me. But I told you I would save the best for last. I'm gonna share my 2 favorite cars up here because I absolutely love the 68 Eldorado. I love everything about it. I am not gonna go incredibly deep. You've heard me talk about these cars a ton. The V8, the front wheel drive, the platform to build a car that could give you a ton of room in the front, tons of technological advances. I just love everything about the style on the 68 Eldorados. I think the wheels look incredible on the 68. I think this is the best version of this car. You know, I've talked about it in the past. No transmission tunnel, right? So we had the flat floor, so you had all the space inside the car to give people more opportunity to sit down. I like the interior. The rear end on these cars is stunning. Again, just my favorite cars that are up here are these 68 Eldorados. I've always liked them. And again, these are some of the most affordable classic Cadillacs you can still get. If you're looking for like a 60s Cadillac, you can still get a really good deal on these Eldorados, right? These are not crazy money still. You know, you're talking a decent one for 10 grand, a nice one for 20, a show quality one for like 40. But, you know, in the classic car hobby, that's super rare. And again, this is a car that had a lot of technological advancements. If you're looking for a high performance car, this probably isn't it. But if you're looking for a car with front wheel drive that drives nice, that's safe, has a nice ride, has a ton of room, these Eldorados are absolutely the cars I would recommend. I think they just, again, everything just sits right with them stylistically. They're incredibly comfortable. Like I said, everything, you know, even the wheels, like I said, everything on these cars just is what I really dig on these. And this one, again, this one is a fully optioned version with the leather. The one over here has the cloth, but has the very cool, you know, period correct phone, which is awesome. Just a ton of very cool stuff in these 68 Eldorados. Guys, we're gonna wrap up our video today. What a great turnout of Cadillacs. Kudos to the Cadillac Club that put this together. My buddy Sean, who always does a great job kind of spearheading this. Thank you to Cadillac of Norwood for sponsoring, helping this club put on a great show. Thank you to Anthony of Specialty Motor Cars for taking a minute and sharing his very cool convertible behind us. Just a super fun show, guys. We're gonna try to get some more shows. We may not have anything for a couple of weeks. I'm traveling this week, and then when I get back, my niece is getting married next weekend. So when we get back on the 29th, I think it is. But I appreciate all of you for checking out the videos. There's a lot of stuff here. If you've never been to Lars Anderson, come check out the museum, oldest car museum in the country. Tons of cool events on the lawn. I know we have the Corvette show coming up soon. They do an Italian Car Day show. They do a Porsche show. They do an American Car Day show. Just tons of cool stuff. So please come take a look. Come check it out. Tons of cool stuff here. If you haven't done it so far, please hit the like and subscribe, everybody. We'll talk with everybody real soon. Thank you.